So here we go. We'll just bounce. So bend in your knees. You can rock a bit from side to side, letting your weight shift between your feet. Some folks like to bounce with a little sway in their torso. This is also good too. But particularly as it gets cold, our muscles and joints get cold. So this little bit of bouncing is a nice way of turning everything on and warming everything up. You can bounce very, very fast. You can bounce slow. You can bounce at whatever speed really works for you. And if you want it to feel more activating or effortful, try to bounce with your heels lifted. That's a lot more work and it kind of feels wobbly. So if you need to stick your hands out in any direction to help with balance, that's okay. We'll take about 10 breaths, but over that next few moments of breathing, try to find a steady breath, even though you're moving and the breath might try to move faster. Slow it down. So your breath comes deeply in and fully out. And for our last 3 or so breaths, let your bounce start to slow down until you find relative stillness. You can keep a softness in your knees, but notice the sensation that you're experiencing here. It might be that you feel like you're still moving even though you're still, or that you can feel the warmth you've just created. Okay. And take a breath in. And a breath out. We'll do some simple sun breaths to link breath and movement now. On an inhale, sweep your arms up and out overhead. On your exhale, draw your hands down through center chest. We can make this more dramatic. Inhale, sweeping out and up. Exhale, hands to center. Soften in the knees as you inhale. Sweep up, reaching full extension through the arms to re-extend the legs. Exhale, hands through center. You can softly bend as the hands come down. Inhale, sweeping out and up. Exhale, hands come down. One more time. Inhale, sweep out and up. As you exhale, shift your weight into your left foot. Bring your hands to center and your right knee up. I'll shift sideways for this. So we'll pause just balancing on the left foot. If balance is effortful, you can reach for the wall or a chair in any way that's comfortable, but your right knee will come up and we'll just pause here for a moment. So find the variation that works for you with support or without. And as your right knee is lifted, take a breath in and a breath out. We'll play with some movement around the hip because the hamstrings and the IT band all come into contact with the pelvis. So with or without support, start to move your right knee in big circles. I find that I end up circling out first just out of habit. So take 3 or 4 in one direction and then circle the other way and notice if something feels different. And if you notice there's a part of the motion that your body tries to speed through, slow that part down. Okay. The next time the leg comes across in front, let your right foot cross in front. Now, if this feels really wobbly with the right foot crossed in front of the left, you can step the right foot a little bit more forward so you have a slightly more lengthed stance. You can also grab some blocks. So I'll show it with all the things. But we'll hinge from the hips with or without blocks and fold. Now as you come down, softly bend in your knees, let your hips shift back. And we'll take a breath in. And as you exhale, you can stay here or press through the outer edge of your right foot and try to shift your right hip back. Maybe that's plenty. Maybe your hands start to walk over to the left. As your hands go to the left, keep anchoring through the right foot and drawing the right hip back into the left, to the right. Breathe in. And breathe out. All right. We'll pass through center for the counter stretch, taking your hands over to the right as you're ready. Let your left side line get a little longer. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Okay. We'll pass through center one more time. And as you inhale, let the weight come forward towards your hands. So do use blocks if that's helpful. And try to shift your hips back, lengthening the side body and maybe getting a little more space through the outer right hip. Breathe in. And with your exhale, bend both knees. Roll your way slowly up to stand. And bring your right knee back up. Now this time you'll hold on to the knee. And I'll offer this in two different ways. You can do it holding the knee, or you might find you want your strap. So with the right knee lifted, you can hold underneath the thigh and try to extend the leg to the degree that's comfortable. You don't have to get fully extended, and you also don't need to do this with any degree of balance. You can lean your back line into the wall and just try to lift the right leg. Alternatively, if you'd prefer to try this with a strap, step your right foot into the strap, hook your hands, take the strap in your right hand, bend into both knees, so that when you come up, you're not coming in with a strain on your back. When you extend the right leg forward, if you feel it in your back, soften in your left knee or standing knee ever so slightly. So you can just play with lifting the right leg up. Now again, either variation is fine. You might be just holding underneath your thigh and exploring reaching the foot forward. That could be the variation today. Take a breath in. And a breath out. We'll take 2 or 3 more breaths, but if you feel like you need to come down at any time, just land your feet at hips width distance. I'll move these blocks so you can see. And once your feet land, let your hands come down by your side and take a couple of breaths in mountain pose, noticing how each of your feet feel. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Breath comes in. And eventually, when it's done, the breath will go out. Now, before we switch sides, if it would feel nice to sway or take a moment of bouncing again, just to reset, you can do that. Or you can stay still. For another few breaths. As we're preparing to come into the second side, softly bend both knees. Let your weight come into your right foot And bring your left knee up. You can hold the knee for a moment to help you stabilize or put your hands on a wall or your hips. Once you find that sense of uplift, deepening through the right leg to help you lift the left, you can start to move the left leg in a big circle. And again, having a chair, or I have my bookshelf, use something for support if it feels effortful. We're really looking for the freedom of motion, the fluidity of motion.
I need to get some stickers.
Okay, honey. Maddie, there are stickers, mats. Over there in the bag.
What bag?
The green one, I think.
Okay.
And take a breath in. And a breath out. If you haven't changed directions, switch it up.
Stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Got 'em.
When you feel like you've done an even amount of circling in both directions, we'll take the cross in front on the second side. So you'll let your left foot come over to the right side. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's really challenging, you can even have your feet right in front of each other, but staggered a bit forward and back. Take a breath in. As you exhale, soften in both knees, shift your hips back and grab a hold of whatever blocks you have around. And if blocks don't feel like enough support, use a chair. You're all at home, I'm sure you've got chairs there. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, press through the outer edge of your left foot. Stay here or walk your hands to the right. Now as your hands walk to the right, shift your hips back into the left and we'll stay for a few beats. Breathing in. And breathing out. We'll take another inhale. And another exhale. When you feel ready, you'll pass through center. Take a breath in. Get long again through your spine for support. And then you can use that length as you walk your hands over to the left to let your right side body or your right outer hip get a little bit of space. The counter stretch. And feel free to put as much weight in your hands as you need to. If you notice you're locking out your knees, you can always bend them. Take a breath in. And a breath out. We'll pass through center. On an inhale, your chest lengthens forward. As you exhale, shift your weight back towards your feet, bend your knees for support. Roll your way slowly up to standing. Let the weight shift into your right foot. You'll bring your left foot back up. And this time, maybe you hold under the left thigh. Maybe you hold the left knee. We're starting to extend the left leg forward, and you're welcome to grab a strap for that. One thing that I find folks will do when they're using a strap, though, and part of the reason I'm showing it the other way, is that oftentimes folks will use the strap. Let me see if I can demonstrate this in my pregnant body. They'll lift the left leg up, keeping it straight, which forces the back to round as the leg goes up. So instead, take care to bend both knees. You can even keep your right hand on your back to keep your back nice and long as a reminder. Bend the left knee as it lifts, then extend to the degree that it can. It doesn't need to get to straight, just the idea of being able to lift it with or without the strap helps to create length along the back line of your left leg. And I've been talking a long time here, so maybe you're already feeling done and you come straight down into mountain pose. When you feel done, we'll get to mountain pose together and start to find a slightly wider stance. So you can toe heel your feet to a 3 or a 4 foot stance. I'll move the blocks out of the way so you can see my legs. And take a breath in here. And a breath out. We'll take horse pose or goddess pose as a way of integrating through the legs. You turn your toes out. Let your heels be more in than your toes and bend. Now, it doesn't matter how far apart your feet are, but if your knees are passing the line of your ankles, walk your feet wider. You're hugging in through your heels. Take your arms out wide. We've done a lot of standing balance. Let this pose feel really grounding into your body. So if it feels like too much, just walk your feet in a little closer, take a littler bend, and breathe. So your body is able to cultivate that sense of grounded strength. We'll let your breath come in and your breath go out. In and out. For the last 3 or 5 breaths here, you can make this a little bit of a standing bouncing meditation. Sometimes in class we'll jokingly ride a horse. If it's too much on uncomfortable knees, don't bother, or keep the toes lifted and the bend in the knee a little less steep, and you can get a little bounce without it bothering the knees. And take a breath in and a breath out. Awesome. Inhale, your arms go up. Exhale, the hands come down. Twice more. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands come down. One more time. Inhale, arms go up. This time as you exhale, straighten your legs. Shift your weight towards your right foot. And your hands can come down as you lower. Your left toes will lift up. This is Skandasana lunge. Some folks call it snake lunge. For a time it was very popular to call it avatar lunge, like the movie with the blue men. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, you'll just let your bum come down to the floor. Now the right knee will stay bent and lifted. The left toes are turned up. We're coming into a side body stretch here. You have a couple of options to provide more support. So you can take a towel or a rolled up blanket and set it underneath your left knee, especially if you're noticing that your knee is kind of locking or pressing down into the floor. You want to alleviate any of that sort of pressure. Now, you'll sit up nice and tall. If you notice that your bum has more weight on one side, or that you feel like you're leaning to one side, put a blanket underneath your bum so that you're starting from a solid foundation. We'll take both arms up as you breathe in when you're stable. And when you exhale, just lean to the left. So towards the extended leg. If for some reason it's different than what I'm doing, that's okay. We're going to do both sides, don't worry. Come back up through center as you breathe in. And with your exhale this time, take your left hand, or the same hand as the extended leg, towards your right ankle or shin. Reach your right arm up and over the left. Breathe in. Maybe you can go a little deeper. Inhale your way up. And this time you can choose your variation. You can side bend straight from the side, or you can keep the left hand on the right shin as you reach. Take a breath in and a breath out. Awesome. When it's time to come up and out of the pose, sit yourself up first. This time we'll be turning towards the left leg, If it's a lot to keep the right knee lifted, you can let the right knee drop, but maybe put a block underneath it. You'll let your upper body turn to the left, sit up tall, breathe in. And this might be enough, especially if you mentioned hamstrings specifically. This might be enough of a hamstring stretch. Or you can just start to walk your fingertips forward until you feel like it's enough. Some folks prefer to keep the right knee lifted. That's totally fine. Some folks like to have the knee out to the side, more like Janu Sirsasana. Either variation is perfectly fair. We're looking to turn the upper body towards the extended leg, press down through the left heel, and let your left toes turn up. And take a breath in, and then a breath out. Okay. When your body feels all done, you'll walk your hands in first. You can take the towel or blanket or whatever was under your left knee out of the way. Hold on underneath your left knee. Hug the left knee up so it lifts. And then try to let your left leg lift for a moment. You can put your hands behind your back. See if you can find the hip flexor strength and the back line of the leg to help lift the leg up. And breathe in. And as you exhale, you'll bring both feet down into butterfly so they hug together. We'll use this as a symmetrical pose to feel the asymmetry between the shapes. So you can hold on to your ankles and just sit up for a moment. Take a breath in and a breath out. Noticing the sensation across your pelvis, in your legs, what's different from right to left. We'll take a cat-cow, holding onto the ankles or shins. As you inhale, reach your chest forward. And with your exhale, keep your hands on your shins, roll around your way back. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale and round it back. If it's feeling like too much in the pelvis, keep blocks underneath the knees. And we'll take a few more cat-cows here before we switch sides. Even though it feels like a really simple breath and movement pattern, try to let your mind and body connect so that the breath and the movement syncing up takes the whole time, the whole inhale to get to the heart lift, and the whole exhale to round. All right. When you feel complete, you'll stop on an inhale to lift up the spine. We'll take whatever's underneath the knees out. And bring the right foot down to the ground. And the left leg can re-extend. There are two different ways to shift sides. You can bring your weight forward into your hands to lift onto your right foot and then walk over to the second side. Or you can stay on your bum and just bend the left knee and extend the right leg out. So totally up to you. If you want to make it more effortful or more engaged, you can. You can also keep it simple. So as we're setting up the second side, the right leg is extended, the left knee is lifted, and we'll start getting comfortable with the support. So if you need something underneath your right knee, like a towel, get it. If you were sitting on something on the other side, like a blanket, a towel, grab that as well. And again, just to reiterate, it doesn't matter how close to you the left foot is. So if it feels like it's too tight and you feel constricted, you can let it move a little bit farther away from you. You'll sit up tall take your arms up as you inhale. And try to just lean over to the right or over to your extended leg, whatever it is. You'll come back up through center on an inhale. And as you exhale, the right hand will come across to catch your left ankle or shin. Your left arm will reach up and over. And the bracing and the support can actually, for some, allow you to go a little bit deeper than you would otherwise be able to go. And take a breath in. And a breath out. Back up to center as you inhale, both arms go high. This time you choose if you're taking the hand across or if you're just leaning to the side. Yogi's choice. 3 breaths, either variation. With your next inhale, you'll bring yourself up. With an exhale, we're going to be turning towards the extended right leg, or whatever the extended leg is. Find a block or something, if you're letting the left knee drop to the side, so that the left knee gets support. And we'll turn towards the right leg, the extended one. Sit up tall, so that you can feel your sit bones on the ground. And if the weight doesn't feel even, balance out the pelvis first. We'll take a breath in. And as you exhale, you'll walk your hands over the line of your right leg. And it might be that they're just one hand on either side, and that's plenty. That can be a lot on the hamstrings. If you have space, you might feel inclined to fold a little bit more. If you're super flexible, or if you're pregnant, do a little less than you think your body needs. Oftentimes when you're very flexible, it's easy to sort of drop, and the action of doing a little less helps you to keep some activation in a place that might otherwise be passive, but then also later painful. And take a breath in. And a breath out. All right. When it's time to come up, first, you'll walk your hands in. Then, take your hands underneath your right knee, help it bend. This is the extended leg now. You can use your hands and muscular strength to help you lift the right leg up. But then see if you can sustain it there without the support of your hands. So that's a little bit of hip flexor strength, but also some activation in the back line. You can bring your hands behind you for extra support, or keep a hand on the leg if that's helpful. Just see what it takes to lift. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, you'll bring your right foot and your left foot together, setting up butterfly again. Well, this time we're going to make butterfly a little bit more plush and cozy. So if it's helpful to sit on something, do. Let your feet be about a foot to 2 feet away from your pelvis. And make sure that your knees are supported with blocks or towels or blankets, whatever you have around. There we go. Okay, and then get a bolster. Now, you might need a lot of blocks to prop up the bolster at a height that works for your body. You might need very few, but you'll set the bolster at a ramp to support your spine. And then for many folks, it feels nice to bring the bolster all the way into your belly. For others, it doesn't. So place it at a comfortable distance, whether that's directly on your stomach or a little ways away, to let yourself fold over the bolster. Now, if it feels okay to have your head straight down, that can prevent the neck from getting crunchy from one side to the other. You can take a towel or a blanket and sort of roll it to create a little bit of a neck pillow so that your head can be nose down without feeling like you're smushing your airways. If your elbows don't quite touch the ground, you're welcome to put something underneath them, whether that's blocks, blocks, and more blocks, or towels, or whatever you have. Now, if you'd like to stay in any of these passive shapes longer than I'm cueing, please know that that's always an option. And you can stay here as long as it feels good. But if it's time to come out, you'll press down into your hands to sit up. And you can take a moment just as you come up to feel your body, to take stock, and then slowly dismantle your ramp. So you can move the bolster to the side. All the piles of blocks can move. You're also welcome to help move your knees in with your hands. So many blocks. Now, as we prepare for our next shape, it will be useful to have a standard size block near you. You can also use your bolster for it. We're coming onto our backs for supported bridge or active bridge, depending on your body. To come onto your back in the most easeful way possible, you can sit sort of side saddle, then walk your hands back and roll onto your back. Now, first things first, check that your heels are underneath your knees. And you can place a block between your thighs. Take a breath in. Squeeze the block. And as you exhale, press into your feet. Squeezing the block, lift the hips up an inch or two. They don't have to lift very high. But as you start to lift, you feel your inner leg line turn on. You can press down into your feet a little more and gently hug your heels back, as if your heels could move towards your head. They are not going to, but that action of hugging starts to turn your hamstrings on. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, lower the body down. We'll take that twice more, and then we'll have the option to come up active or the option to stay passive for a few breaths. So on your next inhale, fill up. With your exhale, start to squeeze the block, press into your feet, lift your hips up. Take another breath in, squeezing the block, hugging the heels in towards the head. And as you exhale, lower down. Last time, looking for all this lower body integration. Breathe in, fill up. As you exhale, squeeze the block, press your feet down, start to lift your hips. Still squeezing the block as you inhale, hug the heels back towards your hips, towards your shoulder blades. And with your exhale this time, you can take the block out and either put it under your bum or set it to the side. So if you're coming into supported bridge, a block underneath your bum is a good way to go. You can make it at any height that feels appropriate for your body. If you'd like to take active bridge again, you can keep the block between your thighs or try to find that same bit of integration, but without the block. So press down into your feet. Take a breath in first. And if you're coming into the active pose, you press into your feet, hug the meat of the thighs around the big leg bones, and then hug the heels back towards your shoulder blades. And you can stay here or stay in the passive shape for the next 5 to 8 breaths. And if your body says, I don't really want to do any of that, you can take knock-knee pose instead. Let your breath come in and your breath go out. If you're in the active variation, start to bring your body down when you're ready. If you're in the passive variation, take a moment of activation, pressing into your feet just to take the block out and bring your hips down. When your hips are down, you can let your knees gently rock from side to side. Our next movement reminds me of one of my teachers, and it sort of makes me laugh, so you'll forgive me if I make funny jokes or inappropriate jokes here. But you can press into your elbows to come up onto your forearms, and you're just going to kick your own bum. That's how he would describe it too. This softens the hamstring attachments, so after we've activated them a bit, we're just giving them a little bit of warmth and pliability. All the hamstring love we can muster today. Try to find a steady breath rhythm, even if it feels like a silly thing to do, to kick your own bum. For some reason, this motion always reminds me of a Cyndi Lauper video, so I end up laughing at myself whenever I do it. When you feel done, you'll let yourself come back onto your back. You can keep kicking your bum for a moment, or bring your knees out towards your armpits and reach your hands towards your ankles, finding happy baby pose. If you have the space to reach for the outside edges of your feet, you can do that as well. Move back onto the frame. Happy baby can be perfectly still, but most babies aren't perfectly still, so you're welcome to bring movement in, rocking from side to side, extending one leg and then the other, feel done, we'll bring the soles of the feet down to the floor. Take a breath in and a breath out. All right. A little bit of activation and then a little bit of passivity. So keep your left foot really rooted on the floor. Extend your right leg to hover above the ground in front of you. Use the sole of the left foot pressing into the floor to help you keep your pelvis neutral. If you notice that your right hip is sort of rolling open, activate in the right leg a little more. And take a breath in. As you exhale, press into your left foot for stability and start to reach your right leg up. You'll feel your hip flexors turn on as the reaching is happening, but at a certain point, you'll start to become aware of your hamstrings. Take a breath in with the toes pointing towards the shoulder. And as you exhale, turn the right toes towards the left shoulder. We'll breathe in back to neutral. And with your exhale, you'll slowly lower the right leg down to hover again. Now, if there starts to be any discomfort in your low back, you press down into your left foot for more support. You can also press your hands down into support. And take a breath in, hover the right foot. Exhale and find neutral hips. Same, second time around. Press into your left foot. Start to lift the right leg up. It can move slow, it can move fast. You'll pause as the right toes point towards the right shoulder. Breathe in again. And turn the right toes to the left as you breathe out. Now you can stay here for a moment and let the right foot move a few inches to the left. And take a breath in and a breath out. All right. You'll cross your right ankle over your left thigh in figure 4. And you can stay here or rock the pose from side to side. So sometimes it's called cradle rocks. You're welcome to take a hold of your left thigh if that feels like it is too much work or that it is too much stretch. You can skip it. Let your breath come in and your breath go out. Okay. Now the option here to come into figure 4 twist is available. If it doesn't feel like it's in service of your body right now, skip it. But if it feels good, you'll take the whole shape and basically tilt it over to the left. So the right knee will be lifted. And while this doesn't specifically get at the IT band or the hamstrings, which was our focus today, it does get at this outer hip junction. You can stay here as long as you like. It's a really lovely passive shape. If your body needs something even more passive, just rest your right knee on top of your left knee for gentle spinal twist. And your arms can come out into a T. As the pose feels complete, you'll bring both knees into center. You can hug them in, one at a time or both together. And take a breath in. And with your exhale, slowly let your feet plant down. Your right foot will land on the ground. And after a moment, press into the right foot. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Let it hover. So you're feeling for your hips being level here from right to left. Feeling for some activation along the left leg. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, press through the right foot to help you slowly lift the left leg up. Now, depending on what's weaker or tighter or stronger or more cranky, you might feel it more in the hip, you might feel it more in the hamstring. Take a breath in at the top, let the toes point towards the left shoulder. On an exhale, rotate the toes to the right shoulder. Breathe in. And breathe out. Turn the toes back to center. Take a breath in. With an exhale, press through the right foot and slowly, as you can muster, paint your foot down towards the floor. It's going to hover, so if you need to pause or find more activation and integration to find that hover, you can press into your hands for support. Take a breath in. With an exhale, press into your right foot. Start to bring the left leg up. If there's a place that feels really challenging or interesting, you can stay. Take a breath in. On your exhale, turn the left toes to the right so you feel the outer leg. Now you can stay right here or play with bringing the left foot across towards the right side of the body and bringing it back. So this gentle crossing over can get at the outside line of the leg. And if that's something your body is really seeking out today, you can do this as many times as it feels interesting or compelling. When you feel complete, you'll inhale your left toes so they point towards your left shoulder, and bend the left ankle, bend the left knee so the ankle comes over the thigh. Figure 4. Same, second side. Maybe you rock. Maybe you find stillness and ease here. You can press down into your right foot to use your right foot to help you rock. You can also hold your right thigh in. Try to allow yourself to slow the breath down. We move gently, but with mindful attentiveness. And that bit of focus can sometimes encourage speed. So now we'll slow ourselves down even more. You can stay right here or drop everything into figure 4 twist. Now that would be taking everything over to the right. Your left foot would land and your left knee could stay lifted. If that doesn't feel good or if it feels like too much right now, you can just take both knees to stack over to the right. So the left knee on top of the right. When your body feels complete, you'll bring both knees back in. Give yourself a final squeeze and set yourself up for the Shavasana of your choosing. Now that might mean grabbing your bolster and sliding it underneath your legs. That might mean, if your back is feeling wonky today, taking side lying or even sitting up for seated meditation instead of final Shavasana. Totally up to you. You'll find whatever shape makes the most sense as your resting pose. And once you're there, you'll close your eyes. Settle into the natural rhythm of your body. the time to stay a little longer, please do. But being sensitive to that hour that we've set aside, if it's time to get up, bring the soles of your feet to the ground first. Use your feet to roll you to your side so you're having a moment of rest there, of reawakening. Take a breath in. And a breath out. When it's time to come up to seated, you'll press down into your hands and paw your way up. You can move something underneath your hips, a block, a blanket, whatever is comfortable to allow yourself to sit upright. Once you find a comfortable spine, we'll prepare to have 3 closing sun breaths together. Each breath will dedicate to a different sense of purpose. The first one will be inward looking. The second one will be outward looking towards community. And the third one, and by community I mean the group that we're with right now. And the third one will be to the bigger community around us that supports us in coming into practice, but also who are supported by us getting this time. So it goes both directions. So on your inhale, sweep your arms up. On your exhale, take a gentle bow as your hands get to center chest, acknowledging yourself in your practice. This time as you inhale, sweep your arms up, feeling the warmth of our yoga community. And with your exhale, bring your hands to center chest and we'll bow to one another. One last time, inhale, sweep out and up, reaching high. With your exhale, take a bow as your hands come to center chest to the community that is supported by you getting this time and that supports you getting this time. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings know peace. Well, thank you all so much for sharing practice. Let me get